My name is Thomas A. Waring, better known as Bud. This is the 19th of May.
2025. But you know that. So, but what did you say your last name was again?
What was that?
Your last name?
Waring, Warring.
So, did you grow up in Smithville?
No, I was born in Mount Vernon, Illinois, which does not exist anymore. Moved to Plattsburgh in 1937 and then moved to Trimble in 1937. Went to grade school in Trimble and high school in Smithville.
And did your family move to Smithville or just you, like your parents?
Oh, my parents, the whole family moved here. I wasn't very old in 1937.
And when was you born?
October 3, 1926.
So, what do you want to start back from when you remember living in Smithville, like where you where you lived? It looked like it. You said that you lived in Tremble,
Yes.
and Trimble relocated. So I noticed some of your notes here. That's very interesting. The family history of 1850.
My family moved to this area in 1850. My great great grandfather, his whole family, and my great great grandmother's family, and maybe more, uh, because according to mother, there was a large, very large group left Kentucky and moved to Missouri. Some of them got off at Boonville, and the rest of them got off at Liberty Landing, and part of them went on to the West Coast. Uh, Most of my family settled in Clinton, Clay, and Platte County. They got off at Liberty Landing, my actual ancestors. That was in 1850, according to mother.
So does this say? Uh, I don't know what the word is. It says at Ross Mill and
Ross
Gypsy.
Mill.
Yeah, is it Indiana?
No Indians.
Oh, Indians at Ross Mill dash and Gypsies. What's that?
Well, my mother uh, was born. Well, the farm was as under the bridge on what is that?
Bridge Street.
That goes across the creek, the lake.
Oh, or DB. I think is it called the Jefferson Highway now? No, Jefferson
No,
Highway.
no. Jefferson Highway is all the blacktop from Canada down to the Gulf.
Oh, really?
It comes through St. Joe, Gower, uh, Trimble, Smithville, and on to Kansas City.
And you were obviously a so. Didn't they started building the Jefferson Highway? Was it 1926 or 28? I don't know the
Uh,
exact date, but
I don't really remember.
it wasn't up very long, was it?
Well, it was the first hard top between Canada and the Gulf.
And that was near
Uh,
your
through
farm.
came down through here.
Oh, okay.
The part of 169 that you guys know was built in 39, 1939. It's finished here in Smithville. That bypassed Well, it starts at Trimble, north of Trimble, and goes to the south of Smithville. And
So,
then it joined F Highway at those 2 points.
so the bridge that you were talking about,
Is across the bridge, the lake.
okay, is that like going to Paradise or going?
Yes.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's big, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, their farm was located under that bridge.
and it's underwater now.
Yes. The old house, as I recall, was about 100 yards north of the bridge and 100 yards out from the boat ramps.
Wow, I know exactly where he's talking. That's so awesome.
There used to be a road that went through there that went from Paradise to Trimble.
So, where did your family live? Like in town or just like on the farm?
Lived in Trimble in the same block with the Baptist church, just east of it.
And that's when you moved. Well, was it
Moved
Smithville?
there in 37.
Gotcha. That's so awesome. So, what work did your father do?
My father was discharged from World War One, 75% disabled. He went to work for Western Union, building telegraph lines.
Telegraph
Telegraph
lines?
lines
Oh, really? So,
on poles.
yeah, that's very interesting. Do you remember what year that would be? It was you probably young though.
That was before I was born.
Whoa! That's, how many siblings do you have?
I have, there was 4 boys. I'm the
Wait,
second one.
so your parents raised 4 young men,
Well, yeah, we weren't young all our lives.
right? Right. No sisters.
No sisters.
Wow.
I didn't know what to do. When I got on the school bus to ride to Smithville from Trimble, if a girl sat down beside me, I stared out the window all the way.
I'm sure you did. Yeah. Boys, little young boys still do that. My son does the
No,
same
not
thing.
anymore. Well, they didn't back then. I was the only one that did that.
And why do you think that is so? Just uh
Well, it was probably true because there was no girls my age in Trimble. I didn't
oh,
know any girls.
that's interesting. So how far did you like what school like like elementary primary school did you go to? Was your primary school the same as your middle school or high school or whatever?
Well, grades back then started at first grade, went through the eighth, and then you moved into high school for 4.
And did you go to Smithville High?
Yes, I
Is
did.
that what it was called, Smithville High School?
Uh huh.
And so what did you do like any sports or did you do any extracurricular activities, music
Uh,
band?
when I was in high school, World War II was on.
Oh, okay.
Uh, everything was rationed, so we didn't have much sports. We had 6 games of basketball, 6 games of football, and that was it.
Wow.
And that was because of the rationing and transportation. We went to the 3 closest high schools and played each one of them once, and they came to our school and played once.
And um, were you the youngest of your brothers or
I was second,
okay?
next to the oldest.
Okay. So did you guys go to high school all at the same time?
No, we were spread out over from 25 to 32,
Oh,
7 years.
so each of you didn't have your brother.
Well, I was a year behind my oldest brother, 3 years ahead of my next in line because he had typhoid fever one year and missed a whole bunch of school and had to take third grade twice.
And so did you date in high school? Like, how was that? Did
Did
you?
I date? I had my first date when I was a junior, and I was asked to attend a birthday party because my my future wife invited me. Back then, girls didn't date short people. They dated someone as taller than they were. They had to,
Why is that?
because that was what they did at the time. Girls did not date short men. They dated taller men. And Jan looked around high school. Oh, there's a tall one. I'll ask him. So I accepted. I don't remember how we ever got to the party because I had no transportation. And I lived at Trimble. I probably had to walk. I don't remember.
You cut through the fields or?
Oh no, we had F Highway,
Okay.
which was not F Highway at that time. It was the Blacktop.
Yeah. So, what was her name? That the young at the time, the girl's name that you went to the. So did you meet?
Jan Sterling.
Okay, is that your wife? Is that
She became my wife
at what year was that?
in 1948, 4 years after I graduated from high school.
Wow. How long were you guys married?
So I was married in 78. She passed in 20.
And did you guys have children?
Only 5.
That's wonderful.
They were wonderful. They are wonderful.
So do you? So what did you do as far as your occupation and work and all that stuff?
I worked several jobs and got drafted, got out of the service, went to college, got a degree in electrical engineering, and went to work for Armco Steel. It was at the time it was Sheffield Steel.
You can answer that, fine.
It's a spam risk.
Yeah, I block all mine. So, my grandmother worked for Thomas Steel, and so the steel business is that due to like the railroad, or is that, well, the railroad? I know Kansas City was part of, and St. Joe was part of doing the railroad system from Florida to kind of connect it out towards the Midwest, and that would have been, oh no, you would have been very young then. And so where was the steel? What was the steel factory that you?
It was originally Sheffield Steel.
Okay, I haven't heard of Sheffield. Where was that at?
Well, it became Armco Steel. Uh, Gosh, I don't know what the address was.
Was it in Kansas City, or was it St.
Yes,
Joe?
it was near the 12th Street, or not 12th Street. Uh, I'm having a problem here.
But no, I think I know where you're talking about though. And your wife, does she work, or does she stay home and care for the?
Well, when babies started coming, she stayed home, took care of them. That was a woman's job back then.
No, I agree. Yeah, I better be. I don't want to pick too much of my commentary in there, but no, I agree. I want people to hear. how it was and compare how different it is. And it's
Right.
okay, if you're married, yes, and I understand some women don't get married or just, you know. But anyways, we're gonna talk about that.
Told
So, um, you're like when you met your wife, did you guys, uh, like, what was your like type of car you guys drove? Like, what was the first car?
my first car. Uh, we were had been married for some time, uh, and I bought a used 1931 Cadillac.
Oh, really cool.
Yeah, it
Nice.
was 11 years old when I bought it.
Uh-huh.
Now wait a minute, I wasn't a 31 then. I don't remember what it was, but it was after the war was over and it ended in 45, and it was 11 years old. It was probably 38 or something like that.
So you said you served in World War II,
No, I did not.
but
I am a veteran.
okay.
I was 4F in World War One. I volunteered in the Navy and passed the physical and was waiting for them to call me to go to officers training. And in the meantime, I got a greetings from Uncle Sam to go to Fort Leavenworth to be examined and inducted into the Army. They called me out of lineup the next morning after I was only part way through the exam, and I was told I was 4F. So that was unfit for duty. So I was not drafted. But a few years later, Korea started, and by then they found out that my problem wasn't fatal at all. I was in pretty good health, so they drafted me.
Of course
And
they
I
did.
served in the Korea War, and I was sent to occupation of Europe in Germany.
Interesting. And so at that time, so did you have children at that time? At this
Uh,
point in time, when you went to Korea?
uh, how do I answer that? At the time, if you were had a child or had one on the way, you could avoid the draft. So I was drafted on a Monday morning. Went to Camp Crowder, called my wife and told her where I was, and she says, "Guess what?" I says, "I don't know. I'm not very good at guessing." She says, "I'm pregnant."
Oh,
So I found out a little late, or I wouldn't have had to go on, but I was glad to go anyway because I felt kind of lonesome in World War II, being one of the few men left in the neighborhood.
yeah. How, so how was it when you came back from Korea? How did you reestablish yourself and your family and
Well, I went to work
that's right.
at odd jobs. Uh, then I went to school 2 years later and became an electrical engineer.
Where did you go to school at? Was it trade school?
No, I went to Columbia
Really?
University, Missouri University.
Wow. That's an accomplishment. Wow. Did you go like on a grant or did your
GI Bill.
GI Bill? Yes, the GI Bill paid for my 6 years of school. It's worth it. It really is. And that obviously changed your life whenever you got done.
Well, I was 32 years old when I was graduated.
And at that time, you had just 2 or 3 kids.
I had three before I was graduated. I had two when it started, two when it started, and three my senior year.
In college in Columbia.
Uh-huh.
Nice. And
That third one cost me $70.
you know what they cost now in 2025? They came out with the statistics. I believe it was $24,000 is how much a child costs a year to raise. And I wonder why that is. Is it because of the technology? I don't know.
Well, children might cost that much on the average, but that means that someone's spending a lot of money on their kids because a lot of them don't spend anywhere near that all.
Yeah, and that is the median that it's from that they got from Europe and the United States and Australia, Japan, nothing from China, from Canada. So that's just like I'm like, do I spend $24,000 on my son? I don't know. Maybe that I don't know that they said it's from infant to 18 years old. People were spending $24,000 a
That's a
year.
lot of money.
It is, and it makes you wonder because like women, I don't know exactly what the percentage is, but it's really high of women who work and they take that's whatever they want to do. They take their kids to like a center, a nursery, or what have you, and most of their paycheck goes to that.
Well, yeah, if they've got to pay for a nanny or something other,
It's
I can
expensive.
understand why it costs them that.
Oh, it's expensive,
But they don't spend that to rear a child.
right?
They spend that because they want to work.
And so, did your wife ever work when the kids got older?
No. Well, after I retired, she got tired of me telling her how to do things, so she went to work.
And what did she do?
She was a substitute teacher, but when she did go to work, she worked for as a secretary for church.
Hmm. So, did you do any community, like, were you in any like community clubs or?
Oh, I was in the American Legion. I'm still in the American Legion. I think this is my 66 or 67 years or something like that. I've been a member since I got out of college in '59, and I was in 4 years before I started college, 2 years before I started college, or something like that. So I think I've got a now working on my 68th year or something.
Wow. And so, when did you retire? Like, what was your,
I retired on the last day of June, 1982.
and did you retire from the steel
Yes.
manufacturer? Okay. And um, so at that point, were like some of your children grown by then, by the time you retired?
Well, let's see. That was in '82, and the last one I was born in '62.
Okay. So they were grown.
Yeah, so the youngest one is 20.
Hmm. And do you have grandchildren?
Oh, yes. And great
Oh,
grandchildren.
you do?
Oh, I had five great grandchildren born in 1924.
Really?
Yeah, really.
That's interesting. So are they uh like in their mid age? Your great grandchildren, well, your great grandchildren are probably, are they in their 20s?
I have great grandchildren range from probably less than a year to the oldest one is, and he's 20. He's 20 or more, maybe a little more than 20.
And how comparable are their personalities and their characters
Well,
from
they're
your
like
children?
everyone else. They're all different.
Oh, right, yeah. Do you like with your grandchildren and your great grandchildren? So, how many did you have any daughters, sons?
I mean, what?
Did you like how many daughters or sons did you have?
I had 3 daughters and 2 sons. Don't ask me how many females and males ahead of any other generation. I'd have to stop with paper and pencil and write them all down,
Yeah.
and I can't remember them all.
Yes, my brother has 11 children, so I understand. Yes, yeah. So, um, what is the best advice someone gave you, and who, and if someone did give you good advice, who was that person? Like, what was some advice somebody gave you over period that you can remember, and you
Well,
took their advice?
uh, I asked my father. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I will anyway. I asked my father when I was before I was married, I says, "You got any advice to give me?" And he says, "Only one thing, bud, go to bed clean."
I agree.
Yeah.
And so,
And my younger brother uh, started college, and he came home the first semester and says, "Bud, you ought to go to college." I says, "I can't go to college. I got 2 kids." He says, "There's guys down there going to college on a GI Bill that's got more than two. If they can do it, you should do it." So I looked at my wife after thinking about it a while and says, "I'm going to go to college." She says, "Okay."
she supported you for that. She backed you up, didn't she?
Yep.
That's right. Because that's, I love it. It's great. She knows that you would, you know, provide. Is gonna, when you get ahead,
Well,
the every whole household gets ahead.
we did it on trust. Didn't know how we were going to do it financially, but we did.
It always works out, doesn't
Yep.
it? Somehow, doesn't it? It does, doesn't it? It just always somehow works out when you know. And
Well, if you want something bad enough, you work at it.
that's right. And what advice would you give to men, you know, these days or whatever? Like, what's some good advice that you could give anybody, men, women, I don't care.
Oh boy, that would depend on the individual, I would think.
What advice would you give a 30, 40-year-old man if they weren't married yet?
Well, that would still depend on which person
Right.
and how well you knew them,
And like for work, or because I know.
and how big they were. If they got too big, wouldn't want to advise too much.
So what? So you said that when you want something, you work hard for it,
Right.
and that to me is some good advice. And you just, with calluses on your feet and your hands, you just do what you have to do. And so I have a question. So I noticed some men. uh, struggle, like they struggle like with their confidence and like their ego and just making sure like they kind of doubt themselves. What would you tell them to kind of ease that?
Well, well, I've always said that if all those other people can do it, I can do it.
I like that's a good answer. That's right. Why not? If you don't do it, somebody else will, right?
Well, if all those people can do it, why can't I do it?
That's correct. Yes, that's right. It's that simple, isn't it?
Uh, in most cases, yes. Some people actually cannot do it.
It's probably hard for some of them
Yeah.
mentally or to get them enthused to go, get up and do what they
They're
do.
handicapped in some way,
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
mentally or physically.
Hmm. Yeah. So, how do you think it? So, if you think about it, um, generation after generation after generation, for as long as uh, from the history I know, every generation has a parent that was in some type of war. How do you think that affects generation after generation because of that? I've thought about this because it's like my grandfather was in World War II, and before that they were in Hungary and they're battling like the Ottoman Empire, and I could go on. It's like every generation suffers. Now I don't want to say it's suffering, but they go through wartime, and your family even went through wartime.
Well, yes. Actually, I've got a grandson that's in the army now.
Mm-hmm. And it's have y'all noticed that? And those stories and all that carries over generation to generation, and it makes you wonder how would it be maybe if uh, I don't want to get real religious because I am a Christian, so it makes me wonder like in Turkey, uh, you know, Christianity went away just in one generation because it stopped being talked about and no churches were around. So I wonder how it would be if one generation had to go without going to combat or fighting. I wonder because I don't know of any. Do you guys know of any time when there was peacetime and there's like no one that
There's always been wars and rumors of wars.
is and that's just
I see no end to it yet.
and that's pretty much just like a so not only my mom my mom and dad always told me there's two things for sure in life paying taxes and you're going to pass away at some point. That's what she told me, but that was like for sure war, paying taxes, and passing away. So I added one to what she taught me, and I just always wondered, you know, does it ever get easier? Like dealing, like you know, or it's just like, well, life goes on, and that's that, and
Well, life is what you make out of it. You affect how you're going to live more than anyone else.
I agree. Yeah. So did you and your family, your wife and your children, your family, did they do like any type of volunteer work? Uh, did you know Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts,
Oh,
vacations? Did y'all go on vacations or?
just what I've done. Let's see, I was on the Urban Renewal Board in Smithville.
He was an alderman?
What?
Did he say alderman?
No, I was on the Urban Renewal Board.
Oh, the urban, no way. Okay,
I was in the American Legion. I ran for school board.
What made you want to run for
I
school
was
board?
Cub Scout leader.
Okay.
I was really active in the church for years and years. I was probably at some time on every committee. As everything but the minister, and I even preached a couple of times. Finance committees, and you know, I don't know what all I've been in. Jan was substitute teacher. She volunteered for a lot of things.
So you said that I think you said your youngest was born in 1962. Is that what he said? 1962.
Yeah,
So the flood took place in 1965. Were you in Smithville when the flood took place, or were you in?
I lived here,
You lived in the down.
this house.
And how did the flood affect you and your family? Considering you're
Well,
1962, so
uh,
it would have been three. You had a 3-year-old. Yeah, yeah.
my grandfather or my father-in-law owned a house, property, and a house. The first block north of the Christian church, and he lost that house. It washed up against the trees, and he had to remove it. Gosh,
How was it for the community? You know, because I'm assuming, the community had to come together, obviously, to rebuild, and is that's kind of like when the lake. How did that discussion get brought up? After the flood, is that
well, Smithville lost, I think, 41 houses during the flood. Is that the way you remember it?
a lot? I wasn't here, but
I think it was 41 houses we lost. Uh, we in urban renewal had to straighten out a lot of titles and stuff because people didn't know who owned what. I mean, there was lots here in town that no one knew who owned them. There was no record of anything, even in Clay County Court. We just we just had to figure things out. Uh, the Legion Park, which is now, what's it called now? Heritage Park, uh, had a row of houses and a church building. They were all washed out. And the Legion got together afterwards and decided they would try to get control of all that property. It was a cornfield, so that's how Legion Park was born. We acquired the property through gifts and purchases or whatever, and built the park there.
what church?
What's that?
What church was there?
Uh, Latter Day? No. It's one of those where everyone speaks languages and stuff.
In downtown. This was in the church. I haven't heard about this church. I haven't heard about this church. Is it still? Did they move? And did the church move? And
Well, the church wasn't there when the flood hit,
okay, I got you. All right.
but that's what it was
Okay.
in the beginning.
Okay. I see. So, um, for everyone to rebuild, did people move out of Smithville after that, or did they kind of stay? 'Cause this is their home,
What do you
or
mean? Did people move into Smithville?
did they move? Did people leave Smithville after the flood, or did people
Well,
stay? And
some did and some didn't.
okay,
Some were forced out because they lost everything.
and they just couldn't rebuild, or for the water.
Well, we lost 41 buildings.
Mhm.
So, yeah, a bunch of them moved out. I don't really recall what all happened.
I have something written down here. So I've had two people. The accounts that you're telling me about the flood is like almost to the T of what others have told me about the flood. It's so fascinating. It's like like with Native Americans, they tell their stories over and over. People like, oh, uh, they can't remember that. Well, he's probably like the 10th or 11th person I've asked about the flood, and they all said the exact same thing.
Well, just for instance, uh, we had a, well, I can't remember his name right now, but he lived down on the north side of F Highway, just off of the 169 spur. And we could hear him above the water noise and everything. From this house, we could hear him plainly hollering help. I mean, it wasn't just a, was that someone hollering help? You could hear him hollering help. And that's a, what, three quarters of a mile away with all that water noise. And we tried to send a boat out to him that was parked out here on the highway, and he says, I can't buck that water. I just don't have enough power. So there's some of us tied a lot of rope together and took a spare tire with air in it and walked as far as we could toward that house. And as soon as we passed the corner of the next building, the water just took us downstream. So we couldn't help them. And they knocked a hole in the ceiling and hole in the roof and crawled out on the roof to save themselves.
That was Colonel Kindred. Is that Colonel Kindred?
No.
That was somebody else.
Colonel Kindred crawled up on his building down there and listened to the lady across the street hollering help, and the only one we lost to the flood, drowned.
And that was in downtown. Okay.
Well, it is on the north side of the creek.
Do you remember what the Patterson house looked like? When
It
stuff kind of
looked like it
settled.
does now, except it used to have a brick building in back that was used as a, when I was here, they used it as a dry cleaning building, but it was originally a cookhouse,
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think.
Yes. Yeah. I know what because they have. It was interesting when the smokehouse because that's a southern thing, and I've only seen them in the south. And when I moved, we wanted to move. We was actually going to buy this house right down here at the end of the road, but VA wouldn't approve us for the house because of my sub pump. Long story short, um, so we rode by the Patterson house. It was empty in 2014, 2015. It was 2015. Well, it was empty in 2014, but my daughter did violin downtown here in Smithville. 'Cause Smithville reminds me of a town that I grew up in South Carolina. Long story short, uh, the smokehouse. I was like, I told my husband, and we've been married for 25 years. We've been together for 28 years, and I said, "Is that a smokehouse?" He goes, "That sure is. That's straight from the south." Yeah, it was just it's very interesting to see that. But uh, is it Doctor Snell's house? Is the oldest house here?
No,
No, it's
I,
not.
I doubt it. There's a house. You know where the old high school was down the first house south of them
Mhm.
on the east side of the street
Write
is
this down.
is built around an old log cabin.
Is that in the Holmes book? I think that was Dr. Snail's house at one time.
Was it?
Is that the house? The literal house where Gene Literal lived?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking
Uh
about?
huh.
I think that was Dr. Snail's. And it had like a path.
Well, I thought the Snell house was on north of the creek.
It could have been. I don't know. Well, no, he's right. Okay, so it's very interesting. He says that, and I was trying to. I won't say anything, but I know what I need to look. Thank you for that information because I know he had another. Yeah, it was a house that he did work in, and he lived there. Yeah, I don't know if he had.
It was built around an log house.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, I thought Snell's lived north of the bridge, second house north of the bridge on the east side. Wasn't that the old Snell house?
I'm not sure. Was that where Dee? No, there's a groom that lived there between Ward and where Donnie Hank's house is now. You're talking about that house.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. That's probably very true, but I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure.
Well, I think we're on to something. Uh, there was a Peter Vonenhorn said that there was a school that was converted into a house, and my husband and Peter searched for years and years and years and still haven't found
A
this.
school built into a house
Yeah,
here?
it was a house. I mean, it was a school, and then the house was kind of built around it. Several people thought it was Bill Long's house. There on. So you know what I'm talking about then. Do you know where across from Heritage Park that they tore down recently and built those other things there?
Whose old house?
Bill Long is what they always referred it to me. It was across the street from.
There was no school across the street.
Well, I think they found out it wasn't there. That's where they thought a long time. But this would have been back in the 1800s, I think. Yes, yeah, and a long, long, long time ago. Yeah, and it's apparently they built, like she said. I don't know how.
I never heard that.
Like the school wasn't like Peter had said that it was more of a what kind of like a school like a home or yeah, it was a school. It wasn't like Smithville. It wasn't like a public school. Correct. It was kind of like for people for children who didn't have families. They came, they go to school, and
I never heard of that.
yeah. Peter had thought Jesse James hid out there, but anyways, that's very interesting. I'm glad we talked about that. So, is there anything that you want to just instead of me asking you questions, is there anything that you want to say, uh, you know, for your family, you know, for two, three generations? Because this is going to go. He was telling his family has taken a couple reels of video. Oh, they have, and they can publish that on the National Archives now because the federal they have that. And this video, I had to get the paperwork. And you have to sign off, or you or your family have to sign off for me to post it, and it'll remain online. But It'll go. This will go on YouTube though, but it can go on to the National Archives on for the well, I dubbed the legacy, but it's for people to see their grandparents. It's so awesome. The government pays for all. It's great.
Do you want to ask anything about old time stuff?
Whatever. I mean, you still got about 5, 6 minutes. So
Well, my grandfather tells me that when he was a young fellow, he lived on up there under the bridge across the lake. He says that during flood, he could go down to the creek with a club, and the fish would be lining the bank head to tail, about 2.5, 3 foot long. He'd just go down there and hit them over the head and pull them out.
did not know. Nobody's told me that.
What?
Nobody's told me that. So that's massive. Where did it come? Where did the fish come from? Oh my goodness.
Well, I just showed you the difference. He says if they made one crop out of three, he was doing good.
Did you guys ever find any Native American?
Well, I'll tell
artifacts?
you, I had an uncle whose younger brother used to travel along the creek, Little Platte, looking for airheads and stuff, and he had a wonderful collection. He got pickup trucks load of Indian artifact and had them laying around his cellar, and he finally put them in boxes, and they were insured by uh,
St. Joseph.
that famous
Lloyd of London.
from in Italy. What?
Oh, I don't
Oh,
know.
I don't mean Italy. I mean England.
Lloyd's of London. Was that?
No, it wasn't Lloyd's. I
I
don't
don't know.
believe.
That doesn't matter.
But anyway, uh, he had a he. They had several stepchildren, or not adopted children, or whatever. And one of those people stole most of his stuff, but I did see three of his box of collections, and he had some beautiful stuff. I believe it was Bill Lloyd's of London.
There, Fred Barber, him and his friend found a peace pipe, and
Oh,
yes, yes, but a bridge going.
well, they used to make their arrows. I had a arrow making place. It's underwater now.
Really?
Yeah, about halfway between Trimble and Smithville,
What?
or I mean Trimble and Paradise.
So what kind of mineral what was they using? Was it flint?
Oh yeah,
It was flint.
yeah. They had all their cutting tools and spears and arrows are built out of flint.
Mhm. I have some obsidian ones, but that's just because I've traveled around and found obsidian arrowheads. I don't know how they made them.
I don't even know what obsidian is.
It's lava. It's like lava. It turns into lava, but it takes I don't thousands and thousands of years for obsidian to become hard as glass. I mean, it's hard. Black. It's black. Yes, black. It is, and it comes from lava. Very interesting. They found some in Missouri. I don't know about Smithville, but
You mean
Smithville.
petrified?
Well, no. Now the petrified wood, though, that's pretty abundant here in Smithville because of so I did research on it. The water at the Polo House and the uh, the combination of the different minerals in Smithville. They're not like Excelsior, but they've the engineers they've all over time have tested it. There's only two other places in the world that have almost the same exact makeup of minerals that are here in Smithville, and they believe that I don't know if it was the lithium or some of the chemical compounds that were here. It's a very unique. Like I said, there's only two other places around the world. You got Peru, and I believe it was it was somewhere more in the Asian area with the mineral content that they believe could cure Lou Gehrig's disease. And I poked up when I was like, wait, the water here? My grandmother died of Lou Gehrig's disease. So it was just interesting when I found that info on the Apollo water. Um, it that I have all the references, and I talked to a professor old professor of mine, and he had no idea. He was like, "That is very interesting," and I was like, "Well, they might can do something, with Luke Gehrig's and what's the other one that's starts with an M? Yeah, what? It's no a disease. Vascular dystrophy or multiple sclerosis. Yes, it starts with something like that, and that it could something. Oh, the lithium water. Yeah, something with all the combination of the minerals confused to your bones. It's very interesting. And you guys, did you drink? I mean, Apollo was out of business. When did they go out of business? In the 30s, 40s? I don't know. I can't remember. I have to look it up.
It was prior to the 40s.
Yeah, yeah. So somebody told me about the little garage behind the Apollo house. Somebody told me it floated there. It just stayed. And I don't know. No, but everybody has told me. Oh, okay. We got 2 minutes. So. Yeah. So nobody has confirmed that for me. Nobody.
No, what? A garage floated in behind the Apollo house.
Yes, so there's a bit like a little building, like a workshop garage right behind the Apollo house because you have like the First Methodist Church, and then next door, the Apollo house and the wells. There's wells still there. Well, one of the wells, the other one's covered up; you can't see it. And then behind that well is that big garage, and individual told me that. That garage came from way down in Gosneyville, floated there, and they just left it there. And it doesn't even look. The construction of that garage though does not even. It's older than the Apollo house. So I don't know what that's all about. Nobody can confirm this for me except for the.
I don't think you'll ever get it confirmed. I don't remember anything like that. Do you?
Everybody I talked to about the flood and after the flood, they all say the same thing. They never heard of that.
But I moved here in May of '66. I was over here to help clean up after the flood, but I didn't actually move here until the May of '66.
Okay, so
I don't think so. I was here during the flood, and I don't really remember it too clearly, but I don't remember any building floating in there and staying.
Well, you guys heard it here. He's like the 10th or 11th person that has said the same thing. So, and it's all on YouTube, and everybody says the same thing. They're like, "What are you talking about?" I just have to ask because I need to know what that was about. But is there anything that you want to include before we end the video? Anything else you want to?
Well, I thought I was going to talk about old times. My great grandmother lived on one side of the creek, and they went to church on the other side of the creek, and they took a shortcut and walked across the creek on a log. And on the way back, great grandmother fell in the creek walking across that log, caught pneumonia, and died. So things are different now than they used to be. We can see that.
Yes, yeah. Was the water cold or?
Well, she caught pneumonia, so I imagine it was in cold weather.
Yeah. Wasn't there like ice or like big chunks of ice in the? I mean,
Well,
I've seen pictures. So I don't know what time frame or.
it froze over. They harvested ice off of it at one time.
Was it bigger a long time ago than it is
Oh,
now?
well, I wasn't. As long as I've been here, of course it's dammed now, but I used to swim in it when I was a little kid, and it was hard to find a place deep enough to swim in almost. Oh,
Um,
it was going to rain.
yeah,
It was hailing a little bit.
yeah, I seen that.
Well, it'd be great if we could, is this done?
Well, it'll stop in like
I was just wondering if we could do another time.
Yes.
I want to hear all the
Yes.
old, I want to hear the old
I
stuff.
want to hear more about some Native American. You need to be known in Gosneyville because I have something I want to ask you. I'll tell you what it is after I shut this down.
Okay.
Because this is all going on YouTube, and I don't want anybody to hear what I'm going to ask you.
Going on YouTube? I wasn't told that.
Okay, it's gonna.
Wait, he has to sign something for it to go on YouTube.
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no. I have messages saying it was okay for me to record them, but I can't post it on the the site for historic reasons without having permission.
Like the National Archives or something.
Yes,
Well, I
because
really don't care if no one else does.
well, I have it on video, so that's actually fine. I can use that if you say it's okay.
Well, I don't care.
I normally ask. I will ask, and if they say it on video, and it's gonna.
I've just been my old self.
Well, can you tell us your name again? Your first and last name?
Thomas Waring, Warring.
And you're from Smithville, Missouri?
Well, I've lived in Smithville, Missouri for some time now, since 19 something or other, 50. I guess I moved here after the service, 53.
Right, but you lived in Trimble and Gosneyville, which is Paradise now?
I've never lived in Gosneyville.
Okay,
I live in Trimble.
okay.
My mother went to church in Gosneyville. Of course, she lived over by Gosneyville and under the bridge again.
Yeah, it's the first, I've had some people talk about it, but not like what you know. So what we'll do is we need to get that recorded because I don't have much accounts of that area. And I would like to hear more about that. We need to talk about that. Will you write that down for me? Because
When you lived in Trimble, do you remember the train going through there that came through?
Yeah.
Where
We
I
moved
lived,
there in 37. They tore the tracks out in 39.
because on my property, I have part of the old railroad right away, which I love.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I found records in Auglaize Village in Ohio of the railroad going because I was trying to find information on Mecca, and I have the info.
Oh, Mecca's underwater.
Yes, it is, and this is before Mecca was underwater, where they were bringing in lumber, and I have names, and I've asked some people, do you know this person's name, and everybody says don't know nothing, and I'm like,
What do you want to know about Mecca?
well, I have to get my archive out, and I am ask her. I'm infatuated with Mecca. I don't know. There's a story behind it, and something you might know, but we'll have to we'll come back and do another recording.
Well, I don't know a whole lot about it, but it was a mixed neighborhood.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Well, there's, I found a, I had,
Hello?